Let special care be taken that the people be well instructed in the precepts of Christian wisdom, so that they may always remember that marriage was not instituted by the will of man, but from the very beginning by the authority and command of God, that it does not admit of plurality of wives or husbands, that Christ, the author of the new covenant, raised it from a right of nature to be a sacrament, and gave to his church legislative and judicial power with regard to the bond of union. On this point, the very greatest care must be taken to instruct them, lest their minds should be led into error by the unsound conclusions of adversaries who desire that the church should be deprived of that power. In like manner, all ought to understand clearly that if there be any union of a man and a woman among the faithful of Christ, which is not a sacrament, such union has not the force and nature of a proper marriage, that, although contracted in accordance with the laws of the state, it cannot be more than a right or custom introduced by the civil law. Further, the civil law can deal with and decide those matters alone which in the civil order spring from marriage, and which cannot possibly exist, as is evident, unless there be a true and lawful cause of them, that is to say, the nuptial band. It is of the greatest consequence to husband and wife that all these things should be known and well understood by them, in order that they may conform to the laws of the state, if there be no objection on the part of the church. For the church wishes the effects of marriage to be guarded in all possible ways, and that no harm may come to the children. In the great confusion of opinions, however, which day by day is spreading more and more widely, it should further be known that no power can dissolve the bond of Christian marriage whenever this has been ratified and consummated, and that, of a consequence, those husbands and wives are guilty of a manifest crime who plan, for whatever reason, to be united in a second marriage before the first one has been ended by death, when, indeed, matters have come to such a pitch that it seems impossible for them to live together any longer. Then the Church allows them to live apart and strives at the same time to soften the evils of this separation by such remedies and helps as are suited to their condition. Yet she never ceases to endeavor to bring about a reconciliation, and never despairs of doing so. But these are extreme cases, and they would seldom exist if men and women entered into the married state with proper dispositions, not influenced by passion, but entertaining right ideas of the duties of marriage and of its noble purpose. Neither would they anticipate their marriage by a series of sins, drawing down upon them the wrath of God. To sum up all in a few words, there would be a calm and quiet constancy in marriage if married people would gather strength and life from the virtue of religion alone, which imparts to us resolution and fortitude. For religion would enable them to bear tranquilly and even gladly the trials of their state, such as, for instance, the faults that they discover in one another, the difference of temper and character, the weight of a mother's cares, the wearing anxiety about the education of children, reverses of fortune, and the sorrows of life. Care also must be taken that they do not easily enter into marriage with those who are not Catholics. For when minds do not agree as to the observances of religion, it is scarcely possible to hope for agreement in other things. Other reasons also proving that persons should turn with dread from such marriages are chiefly these: that they give occasion to forbidden association and communion in religious matters, endanger the faith of the Catholic partner, are a hindrance to the proper education of the children, and often lead to a mixing up of truth and falsehood, and to the belief that all religions are equally good. Lastly, since we well know that none should be excluded from our charity, we commend, venerable brothers, to your fidelity and piety those unhappy persons who, carried away by the heat of passion and being utterly indifferent to their salvation, live wickedly together without the bond of lawful marriage. Let your utmost care be exercised in bringing such persons back to their duty, and both by your own efforts and by those of good men who will consent to help you. Strive by every means that they may see how strongly they have acted, that they may do penance, and that they may be induced to enter into a lawful marriage according to the Catholic rite. You will at once see, venerable brothers, that the doctrine and precepts in relation to Christian marriage, which we have thought good to communicate to you in this letter, tend no less to the preservation of civil society than to the everlasting salvation of souls. May God grant that, by reason of their gravity and importance, minds may everywhere be found docile and ready to obey them. For this end, let us all suppliantly, with humble prayer, implore the help of the Blessed and Immaculate Virgin Mary, that our hearts being quickened to the obedience of faith, she may show herself our mother and our helper. With equal earnestness, let us ask the princes of the apostles Peter and Paul, the destroyers of heresies, the sowers of the seed of truth, to save the human race by their powerful patronage from the deluge of errors that is surging afresh. In the meantime, as an earnest of heavenly gifts and a testimony of our special benevolence, we grant to you all, venerable brothers, and to the people confided to your charge, from the depths of our heart, the apostolic benediction. Given at St. Peter's in Rome, the 10th day of February 1880, the 3rd year of our pontificate. Leo the 13th.